Hi everybody. My name is Edison again. So we have a panel here. I would like to introduce to you Jeffrey. He's from Golden Gate Venture. Leo, he's from Qatar Holdings, and Joyce is from iGlobe. We are in between your lunch, and can someone send us some bento set here as well? I'm kidding. Anyway, okay. Jeffrey, why don't you introduce yourself? Your company and what kind of investment you guys have done so far, and then maybe followed by Leo and Joyce later.
Hi. Good afternoon. Yeah, I saw your bento lunches. It's quite nice. So please enjoy while you listen. So I do implore you to prepare questions if you do have for us. So my name is Jeffrey. I'm from Singapore. I run a venture capital firm here in Singapore called Golden Gate Ventures. We invest primarily at seed stage and Series A in Southeast Asia, Hong Kong and Taiwan. I guess the portfolios companies that are sort of synergistic to Casual Connect would be companies like Epota. We invested in Epota, which is a mobile game distribution platform in Vietnam. They're by far the #1 there. So for those who are looking to distribute games especially mobile games in Vietnam, you can let me know. Yeah.
Thanks, Jeffrey. Okay, Leo.
Good afternoon. My name is Leo. I work for Qatar Holdings. We are a single-family office based in Singapore. We invest primarily in Singapore, but also in Southeast Asia, India. We have some investments in Europe and in the US too. The tech space is generally not what we are very familiar with. Just last year, we made our first investment in a game company. So that's how green I am. But we have a lot of experience in other spaces like heavy industry or agriculture, the unsexy part of investments. We also do a lot of public investments, but on the private side, this is my interest in the company.
Yeah. Leo, don't worry, we have Farm View, so it's still agriculture. Joyce?
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm Joyce. I'm a partner at iGlobe Partners. We are a leading Asia Pacific VC firm that was founded by Subun 15 years ago. Our main focus in terms of our investments are in digital mobile, Internet of Things, as well as digital health. We have been around for 15 years, and our expertise is really cross-border investing. We're very good in investing into US and European companies and then take them to Asia. And conversely, we also invest into Asia companies, Singapore companies who wants to scale out to the US as well as Europe. So we have taken a lot of companies to the Nasdaq stock exchanges, European stock exchanges. That's the experience that we can speak of. For us, I think our unicorn investment is Unity Technologies. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Unity. We invested in them in 2011, and I think they are super promising companies in our portfolio.
Thank you, Joyce. So we have an interesting panel here, family office, incubators, and someone who invest in mid-stage. And from publisher, indie games, as well as game engines and the supply chain whatnot. I'd just like to throw a question to the panel. Is like, what is the hottest trend right now? Do you get a lot of indie games or ad techs, VR, or esports, cloud services? What kind of portfolio are you getting so far? Is there a very specific trend that you're looking at? People are moving towards. Maybe Jeffrey first.
Sure. Let's see. So I do get a lot of things. So I think app stores is one. The esports space. Things like Twitch for mobile is another one. And then I think in Israel and in the US, VR technologies is sort of heating up in the last 6 months. So that's one. And then for studios, for those of you who are in studios, there's a lot of localized games now. So like games for Portuguese market, games for Middle East geography. So more geographically centric games. So that's what I've been seeing.
For me, I think for Kara Holdings, we are more interested in content creation. So we look out for developers pretty much when we look at investing in the game sphere. We actually own an incubator in Singapore. It's called Angels Gate Advisory. So from there, we actually have a certain amount of deal flow where we see really startups, like just really starting from scratch, funding of 50,000 or 100,000 through the MDA's iGEM program. We are very interested in owning IP, which is why we are looking at content creators.
Right.
I think for us, because of the fact that we are investors in a game engine platform company, I think a lot of times I see a lot of companies coming through our doors to see whether, is there something that we can, they can actually partners with the portfolio that I have. But we do also get business plans in a very early stage, prototype kind of business that the developers want to go into, and a little bit more on the casual mobile game side than those very strategy kind of games that we're looking at. Yeah.
Okay. So before I continue to ask question, may I know how many indies in this room? Wow. Okay, 80%. That's good. Okay, right audience. Okay, on the panel, who play games here? 3 of you.
I do. I play a lot of games.
I de-stress by playing Candy Crush, that's all.
I'm level 700.
Wow, okay, that's good for you.
But I've never spent a cent, so I'm really
That's
not
even
the
better.
target.
Jeffrey?
I don't play games. I only play realistic games like sports games.
Oh, I thought you play like poker, real life poker. Okay, so today's topic, which is I have a game plan. A game plan like a strategy game. Indie wanted to make, a game plan literally, and a business plan. So, which do you think is the most important in your investment strategy? Let's start from Joyce, maybe.
Well, I think for me, since I don't really play that many games, I think game plan in itself is pretty important. I think the game mechanics is also very important. So what we usually do is, as a firm, we actually do a lot of so-called due diligence among the friends, and peers that we know to guess and then to give a assessment of whether the game is something which is going to be successful or not. But more importantly for us, I think we always look for people who can actually execute. So the management team, is very important to us. And at the same time, we also want to speak with investors that are more specialized in this game investment to see whether it is something that they can come together with us. Because I think for us, our expertise is really more operational. We can lead you and open doors to the right networks and all this. So in terms of business plan and game plan, I think game plan is important. There must be certain kind of draw that you need to have. But I think business plan to us is really important, more important in that sense.
So business plan is more important than game plan.
Yeah.
Okay. And Leo?
Okay. I'm on the other side of the fence. I find that the game plan is more important because I have no idea about how to develop a game. I don't know how to tap into monetizing a game. I think that's where the expertise lies in the hands of the developer. I can help with the business plan, right? I can, as we go along, whether a company succeeds in its first month or looks like it's going to fail, we can help with how we structure the business to make it, to give it a higher chance of success. So the business plan needs to be there. Most importantly, the entrepreneur, the guy who's running the show, needs to be very focused on the business. Because this is not just about one game. This is about building a gaming company, a gaming business. But at the same time, you need to have this game plan because that's going to be your starting point, right? So we want the person that we are investing in to have a very clear and distinct game plan, but yet have a very strong focus that this is not just about one game. This is about building a business. But as for the business plan, it can be evolved, it can be changed. It's dependent on how well your IPs do as we go along. And as an investor, that's what we are here for. We are supposed to help you along the way.
And how do you make sure that the game that you're looking at is the best?
Well, I feel there's no way to actually tell whether the game you're looking at is the best, because success only comes when it's actually published and the world determines whether or not it's the best. All we can do is feel that based on our knowledge, based on market research, whether or not we have a good shot of making it work, and trying to put the pieces together to find the right partners, to get it published, to get the right audience, to get the right people within the radar of this game. That's all we can do about it. But to say that the game is like the best thing that's going to happen, no one can determine that before the game is launched.
Jeffrey?
I'm similar to Leo, where to me, I think producing games and producing films is about the same. I would say that producing games are much harder. So you guys have a tough time, because I've produced films in my life, so I know the difference. So I would say that the creative team, the production team, is probably the most important. Whether you've done it before, whether your idea or your concept is unique. Everything else you could sort of plug in later. So if you need a publisher to market it for you, you can do that later. But if you don't have a product that they want to market for, then you don't have that you don't have that monetization plan already. So yeah, work on your product. That's the first thing.
So let's say a fresh graduate guy, single person, he comes to you, he has some business plan, and you read it, it's pretty cool. And then he has a pretty interesting game, and you like it, but he's a one man. Would you accept him? But the game that he wants to build maybe requires a team of 4. And so he needs the money to employ the other 3, maybe a graphic guys and engine, not an engine, but server-side guys and the web guy. So will you consider him? But he don't have a team yet.
Okay, I guess a question like this is very dependent on who this guy is. One of the fundamental ways we choose our investments is based on the founder, the guy running the show. What kind of person is he? Is he just a creative guy? Is that his only contribution to the company? Is he just a creative mind, or does he have more? Is he the all-star recruiter? Does he have the aptitude to deal with failure, to deal with the idea that maybe your first 5 games are going to fail? I mean, if you look at Supercell, they suffered quite a lot of failures before they actually succeeded. Do you have the aptitude to deal with that? Can you I mean, it's cliche to say it, but roll with the punches? So it all depends on the person that you're talking about, but we will not rule out someone like that if he possesses the right qualities, even if he's completely like a one-man startup.
Okay, so in your definition, a planned failure, not plan to fail, but a plan, but fail is okay. But he has to persevere and continue, right?
I mean, this is what I mean by we are not investing in the product itself, we're investing in the company. So obviously we want the product to succeed, but you need to prepare for the fact that there's a very high chance that the product's going to fail, because this is gaming, right? I mean, I've played a lot of games in my life, but I think I barely scratched 1% of the games out there. And it's not through my lack of trying to find them, it's just they are just not available for me to find them so easily, because they all get lost in the sea.
I think you play Candy Crush for too long.
Oh.
Okay, what about Joyce? Sorry.
I think for us as a firm, we are a more early to growth stage company. We are not at the family office. We do have a certain mandate for us to invest in certain companies. So I think if it is a one-man show, I think it will be considered as really too early for us. But we do not rule out to say that, you know, over time, you know, if the company grows, we will not invest in their Series A or their Series B. So my take has always been, please come to us. If you are still early, no problem. I think it's important for us to kick tires. We get to understand you guys better, get to monitor you guys better over the, you know, 1 year time frame. And then when it's time that is within my mandate, I think I will be more than ready to, you know, to look into the investments. Yeah.
Right. Just for the indies, maybe some of you might not understand. Leo is from a family office. Family office means that the money it belongs to the family, and they usually invest in VCs, like a fund. So, say for example, they might invest in iGlobe, the Joyce company. So, the money they do not have an LP. So meaning to say they do not require to be answerable, whereas the VC are required to answer to the LPs. So it's more stringent in that sense. So maybe for Joyce, it will be harder for them to accept failure. Whereas for Leo, maybe...
Not really, you are VC. That's not really true. But as I say, you know, it's more the mandate that we are going in. I mean, if our mandate is from early to growth stage, then, you know, being pre-seed is maybe a little bit too tough for us. Yeah. Right. But nonetheless, although we have only invested, or so-called invested in a game engine, which is the best game engine platform that I can see around the world, we are also very open-minded to look at companies, you know, games companies and all this. Yeah. And I think with certain, you know, networks that we have, like, you know, we're good friends of Edison. I'm sure Edison can help us to identify some good ones in this Casual Connect too.
Right. Okay, Jeffrey, how about you? I mean,
I guess for those raising money, just remember there are different types of investors, right? So there's 3 types here already. So from what I can see in the region, depending on where you're from, your first round of money would likely come from people around you, not people you don't know. So if you come to pitch for me now and you haven't launched, it's unlikely I'll put money in. They are usually your friends, your ex-bosses. The ex-bosses one is actually a good thing. So please, when you leave a job, don't, because trust me, there's a lot of guys I've met that started game studios in Vietnam, in Philippines. The first round has come from ex-bosses. Then the next one are strategic angels, like angels or investors investing their own money, but they understand the industry. So they used to run a game outsourcing company, for example, or they have a platform for you to distribute into, right? So for example, in Apporter's case in Vietnam, they invested in a few game studios because they can help them monetize, right? And they know the quality of games. They know what their 11 million users like. So sometimes the money do come from people in the industry and probably from the same country as you. But as you are moving along, what your job is to de-risk things, right? So if you are about to sign a publishing deal, then your risk goes down. So then the investors like us will be a bit more interested. You know, so your job is to keep pushing your product out. Your job is to launch with no money. Your job is to, you know, get as much traction as you can with as little money as possible. And then at every stage you attract different types of investors. So just be aware and don't jump to. Don't just jump the gun and go to the investors that wants to have more traction than you already have.
So usually what the startup guys will do is back, borrow or steal first to do their first stage of ideas and prototyping. Okay, so if we were to go into production, like we want to make a game that is able to launch in the market, what would you call this stage, and what amount do you think a startup should raise to complete this game? Let's assume they just back, borrow, steal, and they are really running out of funds. They have zero. They can continue to code on their own, but they cannot really make a game, so they have $0. So now they want to make that game. How much do you think they should raise? Is it start from 100,000, or is it go straight to $1 million, or you know? But they only have a prototype. A tough question, maybe. Joyce, since iGlobe is 15 years.
I think it really depends. I mean, I think if you already have a prototype, you want to go into a production, I think it depends on which is the first markets that you want to move into, the number of people that you want to hire, you know, and the kind of burn rate that you will get, you know, or you will need, you know, to go into this. I think so. It's a lot of matrices and parameters, you know, that you really need to dwell on it. And I think. Well, I mean, for early stage like that, I think you probably need, as Leo would have mentioned also, that you know you need very dedicated team. I mean, you wouldn't want to recruit someone, you know, that asks for high pay, you know, and want to just get some salary out of this. So you have got to group together a team that really is dedicated and really want to make the game happen and a successful game. So I think it's really very dependent.
Let's assume if I suggest an amount, $500,000 to $1 million. What do you want to see from the team that they are able to get this $500,000 to $1 million? What is the thing that, oh, okay, I look at this idea, I like this because you have this, I like that because you have that, you already have this team and blah, blah, blah. What is the thing that you're looking at?
I think if for that amount, I believe we will need to really recruit the core team members to get it
already
done.
Have.
Yeah.
The core team is already there.
Right.
Okay, and what else?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you can get the money already. Leo?
Yeah, okay. Well, usually we look at why you require this sum of money. If you're talking about $1 million, that's a lot. And if you are saying that you're using that just for salaries, we will be quite concerned because, you know, you shouldn't be taking that much of a salary before you've even launched your product. And that actually taps into the mindset of what kind of person you are and how you drive for success. So a lot of it depends on what you require the money for. 1 million is a lot of money. Do you really need 1 million? What is it for?
Mm. So are you suggesting like maybe the game can be completed within 100,000 to 300,000?
I mean, different games have different budgets. I cannot determine that. But when you come to me with your plan, you need to explain why you require $500,000. And if it's 400,000 going to a wage bill of existing people in the company, then I would not think that that's a very wise way to raise money.
Right. Can I suggest like, oh, if I'm a startup and I'm preparing to fail 5 times, that's why I raise $1 million. Is it okay?
No. No. If you're trying to raise money from an investor who's looking to, I mean, let's not beat around the bush. As an investor, you're looking to make a return on your investment. So it's not a charity. Even though we like your product, we like you, we think that you may succeed, we need to have quite a clear idea that this investment is going to work out for us. So if you're planning for 5 failures, that doesn't really speak very well for your business plan or your game plan. So
okay, then I put it on the other perspective. I have 5 games, and I think 5 games all can make it very well. So I want to make 5 games at one time. Is it okay?
If you are such a great, so good at your job that you can spread out your talents so well and create 5 games of really good, strong content, why not?
So
I'm fine with that. I mean, it's more bang for my buck.
Okay. So you are willing to invest that chunk of money for 5 games at one point in time?
Obviously, I mean, we are going on the assumption that each of these 5 games, every one of these are quality games, and you know there's enough depth. There's a plan for monetization. I mean, in terms of design and graphics, it's of the highest standard. I mean, it's not like you have one really good game and 4 really crappy games, and then you try to launch them in some certain order to try to get some success. No.
Right.
We are going on the assumption that all 5 games are quality games,
Yeah.
and I'm saying, yeah, why not?
Okay, with good prototypes and shown.
Yeah.
And okay,
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
I don't know. So in Indonesia, I've seen like 15. Like there's a company started by 15 founders.
15 founders.
And they don't pay themselves for 2 years, right? They're doing okay now after 4 years, I think. So all the way to people who raise money to build games, and then in Southeast Asia, it's very common to do contract work first, then you build your own games. I think a lot of the big Southeast Asian-based studios outside this hall, they started off that way. So there's no right or wrong. You need to feed yourself. You need to feed your team. Contract work actually might be a good idea because hiring is difficult. I think you guys know this. So sometimes hiring a bunch of people for contract work and then cherry picking the best for your own products actually makes a little bit more sense. So you can survive. You get the best core guys to build on your own thing. And then slowly when it's making money, then you sort of transition over. And that is very, very common. Just to let you know, because game investing is extremely difficult, and I think you know this. So this strategy isn't a bad thing, just to let you know. Now, I've asked myself, like, what is interesting to me when I meet studio founders? Because of my prior investment in Vietnam, I've seen a lot of the studios, right? Including the guys from Hanoi, including the guys from HUT, where the creator of Flappy Bird graduated from, and a bunch of his classmates who are all in games. The first thing is they bootstrap extremely well. So there are 2 types. There is they do contract work, survive, and then they build their own thing. Or they used to work for game outsourcing companies. They have some savings. They leave with their top people in his team or in his company, and then they build games fast and he monetizes fast. So he break even within a year, right, with his own savings. And thereafter, it's a little bit easier for him to raise because he doesn't need money anymore, correct? So the hustle and bootstrapping and then trying to execute. So I like that because you can see that he can execute, he can draw the best people, he can build games that makes money, he has a pipeline of games that is coming out to make more money. It's very convincing, right? So the question is whether you bet on him or you don't, right?
Okay, so let's assume a fresh grad guy. Oh no, maybe he had a job before, one job, and his salary is about Singapore, say 3,500, and he wanted to raise about 100,000. He comes to you. Obviously, I think from this conversation, we knows that you're expecting him to take a pay cut. So, are you expecting him to take $1,000? You know, or $2,000 or $3,500 is fine. Some to arrange, depending. I'm just trying to do shortcuts for some indies here.
Okay, this is getting. I don't want to be arbitrary about it. There's no right or wrong when it comes to how much you pay yourself. Obviously, there's a wrong. I'm sorry. If you want to pay yourself 50,000 a month, then that's wrong. But like what Jeffrey said, we don't want you to starve. You know, we want you to remain motivated. So you have to be able to self-sustain on whatever salary you're getting. What I'm saying to your previous question is, if you're raising money, and the money is used purely just for that self-sustenance, which means that you haven't actually planned out your business properly prior to the fundraising, because you've pretty much run out of money because of salaries, then that reflects very badly on you, because you just didn't have a clue from the start.
So money are supposed to use for marketing as well? Or?
Yeah, for development, marketing.
Right.
And I think most importantly, talent acquisition.
Talent acquisition.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I'll come to the last question. It's like, I have a perfect game plan. I have a perfect business plan, but somehow people just don't invest in me because they cannot understand me, because I haven't shown them, you know, They can't see I'm building the next Angry Bird, but they don't know. So, but they come to you, and then you are not investing. Is there a particular thing, that you're looking for? It's the X factor, something that is not spoken. What would you say that would be the thing? Is it a person, character?
Okay, find me this person and this game. I'll let you know. Like I said earlier on, you can't really determine whether a game is a perfect game until it's judged by the general public. As a developer, you have tunnel vision. You pretty much spend a lot of your effort and energy creating something of your own, and there's something attached to it, and it's very hard for you to accept that maybe it's not as good as it is. And even as an investor, when I look at your game and I like it, but I do not represent the general populace, and that's the most important thing. So to say that the game is perfect, to come from the point where you say that your game is perfect, is starting off on the wrong foot when dealing with investors, because you should never think that way. There's always a way to improve.
So okay, maybe the game is not really perfect, but is there something beyond business plan and game plan that I must prepare?
Monetization.
Monetization.
Yes, because your game could be great, it could be fantastic, there will be people playing it, but if no one pays for it, I mean, now we have a freemium model. If everyone is really just paying it for free, and you have 0.1% of ARPU, that's not going to work out very well for you, even though your game is fantastic. So your monetization plan has to be there.
The willingness to pay for the game.
Yes.
So the first one is to target you because you never pay for Candy Crush.
Yes. If you can make me pay for a game, you win.
Jeffrey, what about you?
So if the question is one thing, right?
Yeah.
One thing.
You can have two things. It's okay.
No. Because there's only one thing. The motivation. I've seen a lot of studio founders. The ones that survive and never usually die are the ones that they just love to build games. Not even play games. They just love to build games. And the love is just like another dimension. I think you guys understand what that is, right? See, yeah. So the game producers or founders, when you meet other people, you can kind of tell, right? Right? The passion, the detail, right? You're just obsessed about certain things. Yeah. So sometimes I would bring another studio founder to judge another studio founder, because sometimes I can't read the thing. So they will know, oh, this guy is good, this guy is crazy about this. There's certain cues that you guys can pick up rather than me, correct? So that's the only thing I really look for. And if I cannot pick up, I'll go and find some of my guys to help me out.
So you're looking at body language.
Just the aura. Just the aura of like obsessiveness.
Joyce, you have anything to add?
Well, I think I agree with Jeffrey, and I think in our kind of identifying, which company to fund, I think we look a lot onto the management team. That is why I say the team is really, really very important. As it moves along, I think you need to build a good team as well. Dedication is very important, and I think at the different stages of you growing the company, it's important for you to identify which are the investors to go to, so that you do not get disappointed, or you will not say, okay, well, if you come to us and they say, this dumb Joyce, it's such a perfect game, why don't you understand? It's going to be so good, it's a unicorn, right? So I think it's important to identify that, do a good investor landscape in Singapore or in everywhere that you want to go and fundraise, to know exactly what are the different mandates that this investor group need and has to abide by in order to make your life much, much easier. Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll open question for the floor. Anyone with questions can just pick up the mic.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm the game designer for SUTD Game Lab. So I just have a quick question. Out of, like, say, we're not talking about fresh graduates, or actually maybe in some cases we are. What's the most important thing out of the three that you look at? Is it the core team members, who they are? the product line of what they have, or perhaps their growth strategy?
Who you want to address the question to?
It's open to any of the three or all.
Okay, you need to repeat? Team and what?
Product line.
The team, which is the people, or the products that they've made, right? Or their upcoming growth strategy.
So which is more important?
Which is the most important?
Most important.
My level of importance follows the way you said it. So team first, product second, growth strategy third. So the team is always going to be the most important. Because once again, when you talk about product, I'm not investing in the product, I'm investing in the company. And the company means the core group of people there. So that's always going to be number one. Then after that, it's your product. And then your growth strategy, like I said, we can help you with that. As an investor, it's our business to help you with that. But the core team and the product, it's all you.
All right, I've actually got a second question, which is related to that. So games are a hit-based business. Is there a general threshold that we should be aware of when we approach investors, or what's reasonable or not reasonable? Because even as you say, if we've got a game that we think is going to do well, and it doesn't do as well, right? We can maybe do things like reskin, tweak the mechanics after soft launch, that sort of thing. But is there a general threshold that as investors you look out for, or you say at this point that's not feasible, or maybe or the reverse from even the start? If you look at the business plan when we approach you for funding, is there an amount, like we don't just come to you for a money amount, but we say across 1 year or 2 years, this is what we plan to do, and is there a specific threshold that, or a warning flag or something that you guys think would be good that we would be aware of or know when we approach
First of all, you have your projection, right? So are you saying that you're following the projection, and then is the projection threshold? Or are you saying that you already slipped and beyond and you already spend more money?
It's a bit of both, because sometimes it's about luck as well and the market. So it's more of a general question.
You got to give them the right scenario. So are you following projection, or are you slipping the projection?
Say we've got investment, or we've got some money, and we've got the first game out. It's not doing as well as we hoped, but we've got backups. Do you have any advice for that sort of thing?
Who you want to address to?
Okay.
Again, it's open.
Okay. When it comes to projections, I think a lot of it is plucked from the air. You may not think so, or you may try to convince yourself it isn't so. But I'm sure you know very well that all these projections that you make, they are based on way too many assumptions, that if you can actually meet them, fantastic. But if you don't, I'm not that surprised as an investor. So when I talk about believing in the core team, it means, like I said, what are you made of? How do you move on if your product is not doing well? Your first product doesn't do well, and say it dumps, it does way worse than you can expect it to do. You channel 15 months of your life just to bring this out, and within 2 months you realize it's a failure. How do you move on from that? So when we invest, we want to make sure that we are investing in someone who can. You're not so invested in your one product. You're building a business, you're building a company. You're building a company that loves making games, like Jeffrey said. You want to make games, you want to make more. If it's a success, you're not going to sit on your laurels and just keep running, Angry Birds 5, 10, something like that. You're going to create new IPs all the time.
You said Angry Bees just now.
Yeah, Angry Birds, Angry Bees, Angry Cows, whatever. You don't want to be stuck in that situation. We want to invest in someone who loves making games, wants to continuously create new IPs, whether or not you succeed. But how you handle failure is a big part. Maybe a bit vague, but
I think for me, to carry on to what Leo had just said, I think it's more important that now if you, as what you said, you have followed the business plan, you have hit it, but not to the expectations, and I think it's true. Projections are all projections. We always hope that, every of our projections is right. I think more importantly is that the team is willing to understand what went wrong, willing to accept feedback, advisors from the people around you, and especially for the investor that you want to bring on board, and move on from there, which is important. So for me, we call it the coachable entrepreneur. There are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that, quote unquote, are not very, very coachable. I mean, we as a VC would not be able to do the kind of work that you are because you are specialized in that. But I think we have seen enough business plan, we have worked enough together with the entrepreneur, seen failures, why people fail, why people are so successful, that we believe that we can actually give a certain level of input. And I think if the entrepreneurs, the team can actually sit down, think about it, listen. I think you will get a lot of good advice from the investors around the table. Yeah.
So don't look at VC as the bank. Bank just give you money and he'll chase you. VCs give you money and give you advice.
I have said this many times in many conferences over the last couple of months. When I started the business, a lot of times people tell me VCs are vouchers. Actually, it's not true. We believe in you when we first see you. We gave you the money. If you don't deliver, what do we do? Yeah. We still have to continue walking the journey with you, honestly. So I think it's important to have a very good chemistry with the VC. Don't come to us only when there's good news or bad news. I think the consistent kind of chemistry that you have with the VC is really, really very important. And as VCs, I think as investors, we do have a lot of networks. I think it's important for you to know how to tap into the networks and get you to the right people and right people to the right door. Yeah.
So treat your VC as a family member.
Yes, I think you should.
Why games? Why invest in games? And this is to all of you. I mean, it's it's a commonly repeated thread that games are a speculative investment at best. Certainly better ways to put your money to work, whether it's investing in treasuries all the way through to SaaS businesses that are enterprise, have solid MRR, and have some sort of repeatability. Why are you here?
Invest in games.
That's why we invest in game engine platform. But but again, even with a good game engine platform, you still need a lot of content. You need a lot of games to be on the platform. So yeah, that's the reason why we're here.
Okay. So we made our first investment in the gaming company last year, first ever. I think, to be honest, one of the primary reasons is that I'm a big gamer. I really, really love playing games myself. I love the idea of owning an IP, of the content creation behind a game. Also, I mean, for more practical reasons, now is one of the best times. I mean, for the past few years, it's been one of the best times to invest in casual gaming because that market has really boomed. From an investment standpoint, it's not so far-fetched anymore, even though there are like big profile failures. But there are still a lot of gems to be found. One of the great things about mobile games or casual games is that you can tap into a global audience very easily. You can scale it. You can scale it at a speed or a level that is quite unheard of in many other industries. So that's very appealing to us from an investment standpoint.
How many from Vietnam here?
Anyone from Vietnam?
No. Okay.
Indonesia?
Oh, yeah, Indonesia for sure. Yeah.
4, 5. Yeah.
So maybe the Indonesians can let me know. Like in Vietnam, right? So why games? As long as there are babies born and there are young people, games will be played. In Vietnam, for example, do you know how the youths actually spend their time? They will use Zalo or Line to, get their friends to go to a cafe, and then they'll sit there. Usually the Wi-Fi are free and fast, and then they'll sit there with coffee or any other drinks. They usually don't drink coffee. this is the thing. This is the thing we found out. They go to cafes not to drink coffee. Okay, and then they just sit there and play games. They don't talk to each other. Okay, and then at nights you go to like Euro trash music bars. They drink beer and play games. They don't talk to each other. Okay, this is what I see. Okay, obviously in Indonesia you don't have that bar situation, but you probably have the cafe situation. So although I don't play games, I can empathize with the youth. Culturally and demographically, I think in emerging countries that's going to be quite interesting. That's why you see quite a few new startups that are targeted at language-specific or geography-specific games that is targeted. So to me, that's pretty interesting.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Round of applause, thank you. And good luck to the Indies. Thank you so much.